This is the Daewoo G2X. If you're familiar with cars made by General Motors, you can already tell that this is a rebadged Saturn Sky. The G2X was sold exclusively in South Korea throughout 2007 and 2008, so you're likely to never see one on the road. Even if you live in South Korea, you probably will never see one, because only 179 were ever made, and so this is quite a rare car. Today, I'll be talking about some of the rarest cars ever. And no, I won't be talking about any fancy limited production supercars which are intentionally made rare by their manufacturers. Therefore, you won't be seeing any Bugattis in this video. With all that cleared up, let's get started. Starting this video off is the Chevrolet HHR, a quirky MPV sold in the United States as well as Canada, Mexico, Japan and even Europe. This isn't necessarily a rare car, as over 500,000 were made and sold between 2005 and 2013. What I want to address when it comes to the HHR is this: the Chevy HHR panel. As its name implies, this is a panel van version of the HHR with 2 doors, 2 seats and a rear passenger space being replaced by cargo space. It was offered between 2007 and 2011. It even had a sporty SS supercharged version. Despite sounding like a practical car, the HHR panel didn't quite catch on, and therefore only 216 were ever made. Up next we have a pretty interesting car that I'll introduce with a quick story. Once upon a time, there was an automobile manufacturer called the South African Motor Corporation, or SAMCOR for short, which was actually a subsidiary of Ford. It sold Fords that were rebadged Mazdas as well as licensed Mazdas. One day, SAMCOR began exporting the South African version of the Mazda 323 to the United Kingdom, where it was sold as the Seyo Penza, available as a 5-door hatchback or a 4-door saloon, and fitted with a 1.3 litre fuel-injected engine. The Penza was offered as a budget car between 1991 and 1993. Just over 1,000 were made, and even though that already makes the Penza rare, you'd be shocked if I told you that just one is left on the road. Apparently, this 5-door hatchback is owned by an enthusiast, so it appears to be in good hands for the time being. On the other hand, the saloon version of the Penza is history, with 0 left on the road, so all we have left of the saloon are a couple of photos, and that's how the story of the Penza ends. Another rare car is the Toyota Mega Cruiser, a full-size 4x4 SUV. Sold exclusively in Japan between 1995 and 2001, the Mega Cruiser had 3 different versions. The first one, called BXD10, was produced for the military and wasn't sold to the public. The second version, a modified BXD10 mounting a missile launcher, also made for the military. The third and final version was called BXD20 and was made for civilian sales with 2 different roof types, the standard low roof and the optional high roof. Some BXD20s also saw service as military vehicles, while others were used by police and fire departments. Despite its 6-year-long life cycle, just 3,000 Mega Cruisers were made, of which 133 were sold to civilians, and so it's impossible to see one on the road even if you live in Japan. Our next car has to be one of the most beautiful cars ever made. It is none other than the Aston Martin Rapide. Introduced to Aston Martin's lineup in 2009, the Rapide was Aston's first ever series produced 4-door saloon. Now I can't lie about the fact that the Rapide is just a DB9 with a longer rear end, because that's what it is, but this car is beautiful to make up for it. During production, the Rapide went through 3 versions. The original Rapide, sold between 2009 and 2013, powered by a 5.9 litre V12 engine that is capable of churning out 470 brake horsepower. In 2013, the Rapide was facelifted and renamed to the Rapide S, with an upgraded version of the V12 used in the earlier model, now producing 550 horsepower. In 2018, a new high-performance version of the Rapide, called the Rapide AMR, replaces the Rapide S, with the 5.9 litre V12 having been upgraded again to make 580 horsepower and allow for a top speed of 330 km per hour or 205 miles per hour. Aston Martin was even planning to make an electric version called the Rapide E, although it ended up getting cancelled in 2020 with the then upcoming release of the DBX SUV. Not just that happened, as the regular Rapide was also silently discontinued to make way for the DBX. In the end, only 2,207 Rapides were made, which is surprising, seeing as the Rapide was in production for an entire decade. At least we still have the delightful looks of the Rapide to feast our eyes on. Our last car for this video is one that's pretty obscure, a 2-seater roadster known as the MG RV8. It may look like a car with a simple story, but it's actually the opposite. The RV8 started out life as the MGB in 1962, which gained more and more different versions until its discontinuation in 1980. The RV8 used the same body as the MGB, with little to nothing changed. I guess the only drastic change was with the grille, which was now metallic and painted the same colour as the body, rather than grey plastic, as it was on the MGB GTV8, the final version of the original MGB. The RV8 was introduced to MG's range in 1992, after Rover began to remanufacture MGB body shells. Strangely enough, MG chose to sell the RV8 exclusively in certain right-hand drive markets. Yes, only certain right-hand drive markets. It would be a good time to mention the sales numbers now, although we'll get to them later, as it's time to talk about the RV8's specs. The RV8 was powered by a 3.9 litre Rover V8 engine, hence its name, RV8, with the V8 unit producing 185 brake horsepower, which was just enough for the car to accelerate from 0 to 60 miles an hour in 7 seconds. But now, we have to get to the most important part about this car, at least for this video. How much MG RV8s were made? Well, not much. Just 1,983 to be exact. Most of them went to Japan, where the car had the most demand after being officially revealed for the first time there. And so only 307 RV8s were sold in the UK. But not to worry, most of the cars sold to Japanese customers have now come back to the UK, joining the 307 originally sold here. And it is a shame that the RV8 wasn't a great success. From what I've heard, the RV8 is considered the best iteration of the MGB and a valuable future classic. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you liked it, and if you did, why not give a like and subscribe? If this video does well, then I might make more videos about cars. That's all I've got for you. See you later.